Alright guys, I want to show you our latest project, 1959 Cadillac. We're calling it Project MoCad. So kind of how this project started was we originally built a twin turbocharged Hemi to go into this Cadillac, and Paul Ogden, the owner, he had brought it to us to just put the engine in his existing car. It was already pretty nice when he brought it to us, but after we dynoed it and he was sitting there in the dining room watching the motor run, him and his son Mark decided, well, this is crazy, you know, this is 1500 horsepower and we're putting it in a stock 59 chassis. So we decided to basically start over with the car, and we went ahead and we took the body off the chassis. We cut all the floors out of the car. We had Art Morrison make us a really neat custom chassis, and we did something different with this chassis. Is I had Kevin over at Art Morrison, they put this chassis on their brand new drag table, and we did a twin suspension system, which is really pretty trick. That way this car can go road racing and have a 3-link, but then when we go to the track we can hook up a 4-link, and it's all done by just removing a bar or 2 bars. So we'll show you that in a second. But at any rate, 59 Cadillac, twin turbo, it's got a gear vendor's overdrive, all the crazy stuff, and come on, let's go check it out. Okay, so here's a look at what we stuffed in this sucker. That's a twin turbocharged 472 cubic inch Chrysler Hemi with twin 72 NRE patented mirror image turbos. And take a look at that crazy pipe work. Kind of cool. What's cool about that pipe work is that the gate follows the exhaust pipe, and it's just like a bundle of frickin' stainless, even though it's coated right now. Another cool thing is we went ahead and made a radiator setup, similar to what we did on Maximus. So the enclosure for the radiator is actually the core support, and then we tied these water jet brackets into the fenders so that radiator holds up these massive fenders and etc. Obviously not finished, but it's really coming out pretty slick. Ended up making mounts off the main frame rails to hold up all this chrome monstrosity here. There's just everything in this car was made with steel, so it is massive and heavy, so we had to make sure that all the mounts were good and sweet there. Once we put the chassis on the table and we put the car down, we realized we really wanted more track width and didn't want a lot of dish in the front. So we went ahead and actually chopped up the frame and moved the frame out to where I felt we were going to have zero scrub, and that way the car would track really nice and handle really good. So this will be a multi-purpose car, something that you can just turn the key, go putt around. If you want to go to the track, you can go to the track, you know, run shit, I don't know, this car probably 5,000 pounds, right? And then it'll also handle too, the way we set up the suspension. So right here what you see is just a little a shot of the 6-piston Willwoods. Those are 14¼ inch rotors, and we've got a little gauge to measure what rim we want to put on there. Here's a nice shot of the front suspension. So it's got adjustable coilovers all the way around, which is a neat little piece. And then we've got that vet spindle, which really gives us a nice camber curve, and that's pretty neat. Here's another trick thing that we've done, is since we want this car to be nice and a drivable car, we've got the motor on a rubber mount, but we don't want all that vibration going through the car, so we've ended up putting a double Hemi system off the motor mount. So it still sits on a nice urethane mount, but it's not going to rip the motor out of the car because it's Hemi'd. So you don't get all the vibration of it, but you still get the rigidity of holding the motor in. Now here's a view of our nice Hemi Alien intake with the anteater snout. And if you look down here, we got a good water to air intercooler that the turbos plumb right into, and there's ample room with these twin fans and radiator. That's right, Nelson Supercars. So there's a shot of the Ron Davis aluminum radiator with the twin fans and our little, I guess you could call it captured universal core support that we've been starting to build. And then again, we've water jet these plates to attach to that core support and hold the structure of the car. And our little air cleaners. Okay, so this is where the magic is. If you notice, since this is Cadillac, it's basically like 22 feet long. We went with a 4x4 frame rail. You don't normally see that in a car frame, and that is massive. And we went ahead and we've cut all the sheet metal out of the car, and then we've attached the frame rail into the rocker of the car. If you look in the back here, this is what's really, I think, one of the trickiest things about the car is this 3-link, 4-link setup that we did. Okay, so let's say he wants to go to the racetrack and he wants to kick some ass at the racetrack. Well, we've got built in a real triangulated 4-link, so it'll bite at the track. So you've got all your adjustments here on your upper and lower bar. So all you got to do is remove this bar right here, and it's a 4-link rear suspension for the track. Okay. If you want to go road racing, you can just pull these 2 outer bars out, and then you've got yourself a 3-link. And it's that simple. You just pull the bars, you got a 3-link, pull the single bar, you got a 4-link, and that's what we do and we strive for, and everything that we're building is to have your cake and eat it too. So this car, it will hook at the track. It'll, you know, for as big as it is, it's going to handle pretty damn good. It's going to drive and idle and putt around better than it did originally. And it has 1,500 horsepower, but it has a chassis that can handle it. So basically, we went ahead and tied this rear frame and the suspension points because this car is such, it's so heavy, and it's going to have such a, you know, 15 inches of rubber in the back. So we went ahead and triangulated all the cage in, and as you can see, we put what's called a Watts linkage in the back here. So when you switch suspension systems, this Watts, you know, it keeps the rear end from moving forward and aft, but it works out really good. You know, we'll travel up and down, and I think Art Morrison did a really slick job in that Watts setup. Let's see. Of course, you got your adjustable coilovers. You got your big Willwoods in the back with an e-brake, of course, because we're going to want the e-brake to work in this car. And then another thing we did is we ended up taking the frame right here and we cut it off, and we ended up raising the frame rail because we wanted the frame rail to tuck tight. So basically, all the frame is under the rocker. All the exhaust is up above the frame, so nothing is below the rocker. So we ended up chopping the frame and then reshaping it and putting the frame, and then ended up stitching it basically to the car here, and we'll end up mounting the bumper right over there. Okay, so that's the Watts linkage. So it's connected to each side of the frame and basically pivots off to the center of the rear end. You can see how beefy the rear end is braced. And then of course you got your 4-link brackets and your 3-link bracket on. So there's your upper 3-link bracket, your 4-link brackets on the rear end, adjustable coilovers. It's also got a sway bar built in. And we're starting the tubs right now, so you can see the pattern of what the tub is going to be for this car. And of course, this is the e-brake mechanism slapped on there right now where the Willwood goes over. Now that's something neat to point out right there. This is something really special to point out, is if you look at the frame rail, there will be nothing hanging lower than the frame rail.
and that is cool. So if we wanted to, we could slam this thing 4 inches off the ground if we wanted to. I don't think that this thing necessarily will be there, but it gives you that nice option. That to me is just a thing of beauty. We've got your double suspension, all triangulated. And then let's get over to the cage. So we've tied up the cage, and if you see, we've tied this cage really tight with the body line. So you really can't bend that on a bender. So we stitched the shape on a steel table and then heated it with a torch and then bent it by hand to fit nice like that. Okay, so then we've dropped these cage bars down. We've got a roof bar, there's a dash bar underneath. And then we've kind of done a really trick, you know, brought the bar down and then we curved the bar down and back for foot room and really landed it as tight as we can do down to that kick panel right there. And then here's something neat, you know, a shot of the 3.5 inch exhaust. There's the turbo dump off the 60mm tile, and we've made it so that the exhaust, let's get this out of the way. So there's a little V-band attachment, but the exhaust has the same spacing and follows the frame rail all the way down. Another beauty is that we've used oval stainless. So this is 3.5 inch oval, and that oval is no lower than the frame rail. It's just hanging there right now, but the tranny cross member and everything is built with oval cutouts, rear cross member oval cutouts. So, and then we do these oval to round transitions with a V-band, and then this is going to go out over the axles. Let's get a general shot of that exhaust. Pretty slick. It's going to look really slick when it's all sheet metaled up. This is probably the beefiest 727 on the planet, and we've put a gear vendor's overdrive attached to that, so it's really basically a 6-speed at this point. So he'll be able to click in on the freeway and cruise. And again, this is all just in its construction stage, but it's neat to film it when you are in this construction stage just to show. Here, this is that 4x4 frame rail. I mean, this thing's a locomotive. So that's about it. We will check in with you when we have more progress on the mocad. Foot-pounds at the start of the pole, 1,406 foot-pounds, 1,476 horsepower, 21 pounds of boost. It is just gorgeous. Look at that baby. Look at that thing, man. Oh yeah. So here you have it. 472 cubic inch twin turbo mocad.